Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome to the most complete spoken English learning course on YouTube. This series is specially designed to help you speak English fluently and naturally just by listening to real stories and answering simple questions out loud. Today, we bring you a powerful new story. Listen carefully and enjoy. The case I lost and still regret. My name is Laura. I'm a lawyer. I've always been proud of what I do, helping people, defending the innocent, and standing up for justice. But there's one case I lost that still keeps me awake at night. One case that I'll never forget. And even though it happened years ago, the memory still stings. It all started when I was still fairly new to the courtroom. I had been practicing law for just under 3 years, and had gained a reputation for being sharp, prepared, and compassionate. Clients liked me. Judges respected me. And I felt like I was on the right path. Then came the Simmons case. It seemed simple at first. My client, Angela Simmons, was a single mother accused of embezzling money from the small nonprofit organization where she worked. The amount wasn't huge, about $12,000, but it was enough to bring criminal charges. Angela swore to me she was innocent, that she had no idea how the money went missing. She claimed someone else in the office had used her credentials. I believed her. She was sincere. She brought me bank statements, emails, and access to her work computer. Everything she could. She even offered to take a polygraph test. But the prosecution was aggressive. They had surveillance footage showing her staying late at the office on the nights the transfers occurred. They had an IT specialist who said the login came from her desk. Still, I was confident. I believed we could prove reasonable doubt. The evidence, while circumstantial, wasn't bulletproof. And Angela's character spoke volumes. She had no prior record, glowing references, and had worked with at-risk youth for over a decade. The trial started on a Monday. I was nervous, but I was ready. The first 2 days went smoothly. I cross-examined their IT expert and poked holes in his testimony. Our own expert argued that the system was vulnerable and that anyone could have accessed Angela's login credentials if they had physical access to her office. But then something happened. On day 3, a surprise witness appeared. The prosecution brought in a former co-worker named Denise, who claimed that Angela once talked about how easy it would be to move money around in the system. I objected. I argued it was hearsay, but the judge allowed it. That moment shook everything. Angela looked shocked. She whispered to me, "That never happened." But the jury was watching, and their faces changed. I tried to recover. In my closing arguments, I reminded them that the evidence wasn't solid, that this was a person's life and reputation on the line, but I could feel it slipping away. The verdict came back after just 5 hours of deliberation. Guilty. Angela's face crumbled. She started crying silently. And I just stood there, feeling like I had failed her. She was sentenced to 18 months in prison. A few months later, I found out that Denise, the surprise witness, had a grudge against Angela. She had been passed over for a promotion Angela received. She later admitted in a private conversation outside the courtroom that she might have exaggerated things on the stand. I was furious. But it was too late. The damage was done. Angela served her sentence and moved to another city afterward. She didn't return my calls. And honestly, I don't blame her. I think about her often. And every time I enter a courtroom, I carry her story with me. That case taught me that the truth doesn't always win, and that justice sometimes needs more than facts. It needs timing, preparation, and a bit of luck. If I could go back, I'd do things differently. I'd dig deeper into every witness. I'd demand more evidence. I'd never assume anything was secure, even if it looked that way. But most of all, I'd trust my instincts and fight harder. Because losing a case isn't just about a verdict. Sometimes it means losing a person's future. And that is a weight I still carry. Now, if you've made it this far, congratulations. Now, focus, because we have a little quiz to reinforce what you've learned. Remember, answer the questions out loud. You'll have 5 seconds after each question. What is Laura's profession? She is a lawyer. How long had Laura been practicing law before the Simmons case? Just under 3 years. Who was Laura's client in the case? Angela Simmons. What was Angela accused of? Embezzling money from her non-profit job. How much money went missing in the case? Around $12,000. What kind of evidence did the prosecution present? Surveillance footage and IT login data. Who was the surprise witness? A former co-worker named Denise. What did Denise claim Angela said? That it would be easy to move money in the system. What was Angela's sentence? 18 months in prison. What did Laura learn about Denise after the trial? She had a personal grudge and possibly exaggerated her testimony. Now, let's take a moment to review some of the less common words and phrases used in today's story. Embezzling. This means secretly taking money that you were trusted to manage. Example: the accountant was caught embezzling from the company's funds. Credentials. These are personal details or login information that grant access to a system or account. Example: I had to reset my credentials to access the email server. Circumstantial evidence. Indirect evidence that suggests something but doesn't prove it directly. Example: there was no direct evidence, only circumstantial clues. Polygraph. Also known as a lie detector test, used to determine if someone is telling the truth. Example: she agreed to take a polygraph to prove her honesty. Cross-examined. This is when a lawyer questions a witness presented by the opposing side. Example: he was cross-examined by the defense attorney. Poked holes in. An idiom that means to find weaknesses or flaws in something. Example: she poked holes in his argument during the debate. Deliberation. The period when a jury discusses and decides a verdict. Example: the jury's deliberation lasted 6 hours. Hearsay. Information that was heard from someone else, not based on direct knowledge. Example: the judge dismissed it as hearsay. Grudge. A persistent feeling of resentment from a past event. Example: he held a grudge for years after the argument. Verdict. The final decision made by a jury in a trial. Example: the verdict was read aloud by the court clerk. Thank you so much for staying with us until the end of this video. We hope you found this story powerful and helpful for your English learning journey. Don't forget to subscribe to Docentes DigitalesTV. Give this video a like and share it with your friends so they too can learn English through real stories. See you in the next lesson.